On today's episode of the Arabic with Sam podcast, we're taking a question from a student who's emailed in. So in this question, this is actually from Shahzaib Yunus. Thank you very much for your questions. Shahzaib actually sent a couple of questions in, inshallah. I answered his first question via email, and the second question came in, and it's about using the Wehr dictionary, which is a really important skill for Arabic students in the English-speaking world. I mean, there are other alternatives as well, like Lane's lexicon and stuff is popular as well. But there's a really good question here, or a series of questions, inshallah, about using the Wehr dictionary. So let's go through it together, inshallah. So the first part of the question is this. As per my understanding, in the Wehr dictionary, first word is written in past tense. Okay, so when you search a word, like for example, if you search 3 root letters, if you search up fa, ta, and ha, the first word that you'll see is fataha. Okay, that much is true. Okay, followed by a vowel, a, I, or u, to indicate in its present tense. So for example, if you were to search for fataha, you would find an a next to it because the present tense is yaftahu. Okay, that's true as well. Then why is the word habba not written as ahabba? Is it because alif is actually not one of the root letters? That is exactly why. Okay, ahabba is the more common form of the verb. Like when we're talking about loving something, we are typically using the verb ahabba, present tense, yuhibbu. It's a form 4 verb actually, and it's doubled. Ahabba, yuhibbu, much like the verb a'adda, yu'iddu. To prepare for somebody. أعد لهم عذابا أليما, for example. أعد لهم, prepared for them, عذابا أليما, a painful punishment, for example. That's used in the Quran as well. But I'm just demonstrating that with أعد is much like the verb أحب in terms of its sarf, in terms of its morphology. Good, okay, so the alif at the beginning of ahabba is not one of its root letters. The root letters of the verb ahabba are ha, ba, and ba, which is why, as you notice here, it is written as habba in the dictionary. That's the first entry that you get. Okay, that's the first part of your question. Your assumptions are correct. Second part of the question. In the Wehr dictionary, with the verb habba, it has a double B, yeah, that's fine. Is that how it demonstrates a shadda in transliteration? Yes. And this is also a really important point about the shadda in the Arabic language. In fact, lots of the books in lots of like madaris around the world, they actually teach the pronunciation of a shadda by putting said letter. Let's say we wanted to demonstrate how to pronounce a shadda on the letter ba. Okay, so you'd have ba with a shadda. Okay, ba. That is the same as having 2 bears. The first ba with a sukoon and the second ba with a fatha. Okay, ba with a shadda and a fatha is the same as 2 bears. The first shadda having a sukoon, the second one having a fatha. So a shadda is just a doubling of the letter. Okay, that's an important point, and I could maybe go down a rabbit hole about form 2 verbs actually here maybe. Like form 2 verbs have a shadda in the middle, don't they, right? So for example, a verb like allama, there's a shadda. When you learn about al-af'al al-ruba'iyya, when you learn about 4-letter root verbs, it's really cool to have understood that. If you understand that allama yu'allimu is so similar to a 4-letter root verb like tarjama yutarjimu, because allama yu'allimu is a 4-letter verb in a sense, because the shadda is a doubling of the letter, right? Which is why form 2 verbs that have a shadda in the middle are so similar in their sarf to the rubai verbs. That's the reason for that. It's important to understand that. That'll give you a fresh and more detailed and full appreciation of what's going on when a shadda is being used in the Arabic language. And what is this little 1 and 2? Shahzaib has given me 2 entries with the root letters ha, ba, and ba. One of them has a 1 next to it, a form 1 verb here, habba, yahibbu, it must be. I'm more familiar with hearing ahabba, yuhibbu, right, than the form 1 verb. Although the form 1 verb is very common in dialect. In Ami, it's very common to say, and habbit, I loved something, habbit. Like in Fusha, we tend to prefer using the verb ahabba and ahbabtu, to say that I loved something. But in any case, why are there 2 entries here? One of them has a number 1 next to it because it is a form 1 verb. The other one has a form 2. because it's a form 2 verb in this case. But it could also just be him labeling two separate entries based on meaning, because it seems to be a habit of Hans that he would prefer to put multiple entries for different meanings of something over. We've just lost the camera. Don't worry about it, it's no biggie. I'll just carry on audio only, inshallah. He would prefer to have multiple entries for multiple meanings. We actually see this very clearly with it's kind of similar to him putting two entries with the verb qala. There's an entry for the verb qala when the root letters are qaf, waw and lam, versus an entry for qala when the root letters are qaf, ya and lam. It's not entirely the same, because here the root letters are actually different. But I'm just giving this example to demonstrate the point that sometimes Hans would choose to have two separate entries based on meaning rather than based on a root letter necessarily. So even though like the form 2 verb habba, the second entry with these root letters, means to produce seed or to go to plant something, like, although that is from the same root letters as the verb ahabba yuhibbu, it would choose not to put them all within one entry because they're not of the same meaning, and they're not even kind of comprehensibly to do with the same meaning at all. I don't know, I mean, sometimes when we think about piecing together how words with the same Arabic root letters are related to each other, sometimes we really torture the connections sometimes. But I mean, maybe we could do this here. I mean, actually, there might be children listening, so maybe we don't talk about how love could be to do with planting seed. Maybe we'll end on that, because it's all getting a bit weird now. But anyway, I've answered the question. May Allah bless you guys. May Allah increase you guys in your knowledge, and keep sending the questions in, inshallah. If you guys have any questions at all about learning the Arabic language, things that have come up in your studies, and you would like me to speak directly to it, please send me an email at arabicwithsam@gmail.com. See you tomorrow for another episode. Assalamu alaikum.